Replay crew. Let's talk about one of the greatest duets in R&B history. Look at this performance. Look at the way Rick is looking at Tina. Look at the way Tina is looking right back at him. They aren't just singing to each other, they're singing through each other. To most people, this is simply Fire and Desire, one of the greatest love songs ever recorded. But what if I told you this performance wasn't fueled by romance? What if it was fueled by frustration, exhaustion, jealousy, and years of unresolved tension? Because behind the music was a relationship that was far more complicated than most people realize. We're talking about Rick James and Teena Marie, the king of punk funk and the Ivory Queen of Soul, a creative partnership that produced timeless music, unforgettable chemistry, and enough drama to fill an entire season of reality TV. Today on The Candy Shop, we're pulling the receipts. We're going from hidden identities in 1979 to a groundbreaking lawsuit that changed the music industry to the complicated relationship that left fans debating one question for decades. Were Rick and Tina soulmates, or was this one of the most toxic creative partnerships in music history? Grab your tea. Let's open the file. Before we get into today's story, a quick disclaimer. This video is for entertainment, educational, and commentary purposes. We are discussing publicly available information, interviews, biographies, industry reporting, and statements made by the individuals involved. The goal is to explore the history, not present speculation as fact. Now, if you're part of the replay crew, you already know how we do things over here. We don't just gossip, we investigate, and trust me, the file is messy. It's 1979. Rick James is one of Motown's biggest stars. He's wild, he's controversial, and he's selling records. Then he discovers a young singer named Mary Christine Brockert. Most of us know her today as Teena Marie, but here's where things get interesting. Motown reportedly had a problem, not with her voice, not with her talent, with her race. The label allegedly worried that Black radio stations wouldn't embrace a white female artist, even though her music was deeply rooted in R&B and soul. So what happened? When her debut album Wild and Peaceful was released, Tina's photograph was nowhere to be found on the cover. Think about that. The label wanted audiences to hear her before they saw her. Replay crew. Imagine being so talented that your voice could stop people in their tracks, but the industry still wasn't sure what to do with you. Rick became more than her producer. He became her mentor, her champion, her creative architect. And at first, that seemed like a dream situation. But sometimes the person who helps build your career also starts believing they own it. And that's where things begin to get complicated. By 1981, Rick and Tina were creating magic. Their chemistry was undeniable. Their records were selling, and fans couldn't get enough of them. But behind the scenes, stories have circulated for years that the relationship was becoming increasingly volatile. Different accounts describe intense creative disagreements, emotional highs and lows, and frequent clashes between two extremely strong personalities. And then came Fire and Desire, one of the greatest duets ever recorded. According to stories that have followed the song for decades, tensions were already running high before it was recorded. Whether every detail is accurate or not, one thing is undeniable. You can hear something real in that performance. The emotion doesn't sound manufactured. The pain doesn't sound rehearsed. And that's probably why the song still hits people more than 40 years later. Replay crew. I'm going to be honest. Every time I hear Fire and Desire, I get chills. But once you learn what was happening behind the scenes, you start hearing the song differently. Because suddenly, it doesn't sound like a fantasy. It sounds personal. Now let's get to the part of the story that doesn't get discussed enough. The part that changed music history. In 1982, Teena Marie wanted out, not out of music, out of her recording contract. She found herself trapped in a situation where her music wasn't being released, but she also wasn't being allowed to move forward elsewhere. And instead of accepting it, she fought back. Teena Marie sued Motown Records. Replay crew. Think about how bold that was. This wasn't an established superstar with unlimited resources. This was a young woman taking on one of the biggest labels in the world. And she won. The legal victory became known as the Brockert Initiative. The law helped prevent record labels from shelving artists indefinitely while still holding them under contract. That's huge. People talk about artists fighting labels today. Tina was doing it over 40 years ago. And honestly, I don't think she gets enough credit for it. Because without women like Teena Marie challenging the system, a lot of artists who came later might not have had the same protections. So now we have to ask the question, what exactly was Rick James to Teena Marie? Was he her greatest supporter, her soulmate, her mentor, or was he someone who struggled to let her become independent? The truth may be somewhere in the middle, because both things can exist at the same time. Rick clearly believed in her talent, but history shows that some people love your potential right up until you stop needing them. And that's where the story becomes bigger than Rick and Teena. We've seen versions of this story throughout entertainment history. A talented woman emerges, a powerful man helps open the door, then conflict begins when she wants control of her own future. Teena Marie refused to ask for permission. She took ownership of her career and she changed the industry because of it. Years later, Rick and Teena would reunite. The tension had softened, the wounds had healed, and fans finally got to see them share a stage again. But the question never completely disappeared, which is why I want to hear from the replay crew. Do you think Rick James was a visionary mentor who couldn't handle losing control? Or do you think he genuinely loved Teena and simply made mistakes along the way? And let's talk about the Brockert Initiative. Is Teena Marie one of the most underrated figures in music industry history? Drop your thoughts below. I'll be in the comments tonight reading every single one. If you enjoyed the deep dive, check out my Janet Jackson and James DeBarge investigation next. I'm your host. This is the Candy Shop, and I'll see you inside the next file. Bye.
Welcome to the Candy Shop, where the glow don't ever stop. I'm serving looks and love on top, and you're the sweet